Hello. It's been a little while. I haven't recorded a video in a while because I haven't felt like recording a video, and I've talked about it a lot. But if I'm not in the mood, then I don't record. I don't want to ever force myself to. So here I am. I'm lagging a little bit. It's fine. Not a big deal. Okay, maybe it's a little bit of a big deal, but we'll work through it. We'll fight through the pain. Today I wanted to talk about fan culture and my place in it all. And I realized that I have contributed in many ways to an unhealthy fan culture. And by that I mean parasocial relationships. And so parasocial relationships, I mean, you can Google it for an actual definition because we all know that I'm not a brainiac. I don't know how to speak word. So, yeah. But the idea is that it's a one-sided relationship where one person invests time, emotion, and energy into one person, and then the other person doesn't even know they exist. And you can see where I'm going with this, with content creation and my place in it all, because that is what this is. Like, I realize that I talk a lot about, especially in my toxicity video, about caring about my community, caring about my viewers, caring about this games community, and caring about the individual people inside of it. And while that's all true, it's also, I really worried about when I said that. Like, it kept me up at night. I was thinking about it, because it's a dangerous thing to say. And the reason why it's a dangerous thing to say is because I legitimately cannot care about you on an individual level because I don't know you. And I won't know you because there's, like, it's impossible. It's literally impossible for me to know 70,000 people, all individually. So, the problem is that our brains were not, like, our brains are wired socially, but we're not developed for the world that we live in. And so, like, these worlds where you have people that are known by thousands and thousands of other people, I mean, parasocial relationships is something that's, like, common among celebrity culture as well. I'm not saying I'm a celebrity, but in some ways it's heightened by the fact that I'm an accessible person to a lot of people that I don't know. And I'm very open about my emotions, I'm very open about insecurities and stuff like that. I mean, some of them, not all of them. And I think that gives me the impression of being friendly. And I mean, I certainly, okay, it's weird to say I'm friendly, but when people DM me, like, I love to be friendly. I love to say, like, thank you for watching my videos and for saying that you enjoyed and they helped you in some way. I'm very appreciative, but I don't want to conflate appreciation and gratitude and friendliness with friendship, because as much as this may come across as aggressive, as arrogant, as ungrateful, and if it does, then I apologize, but I'm not your friend, and I can't be your friend, because it's literally impossible for me to be friends with, like, 70,000 people. And the problem is that I've kept my DMs open. I've answered, like, every single person that DMs me, pretty much. I mean, if I miss someone, I've definitely missed people, but I think I've contributed to this by responding to people, and, like, creating this space where I feel like you can just DM me any question you have about Brawlhalla, about the stream, about me, and then I'll probably answer you. And the problem with that is that, for the most part, like, people are very kind, they respect boundaries, they send me a quick thank you, or I like your videos, and I'm very, very grateful, I'm very appreciative. But then you also have people that invest a lot of time and cross boundaries, really, with an expectation that I'm their friend, that I'm their therapist for some people, and it's really difficult to handle because I mean, this is a me problem, but I really have a hard time saying no. Like, when people come to me with very intense personal problems, like, I shouldn't be the person they come to because I'm not their friend and I don't know them at all, but, like, I can't really say no to them, and that's, like, kind of an issue with boundaries about, like, when somebody tells me about, I don't want to, like, say anything that anyone's told me, like, in confidence or anything, but, like, really intense things, like death, and, like, I am not that, like, person for you, because I can't be, like, I really can't, and it really, really pains me to know, and, like, this is part of the reason why I answer, or have been answering everybody, is because like when someone messages me telling me that their family member passed away and they don't know how to feel and they're very sad and they have nobody else to talk to, it makes me so sad because it means that the only person they feel comfortable enough to talk to is a complete stranger on the internet that doesn't know them at all. And that makes me, like, that crossing of boundaries, in a weird way, the more people cross boundaries, the more guilty I feel for saying no. And so the more I try and respond. But that's not healthy because it weighs on me. It weighs on me a lot. It weighs on my well-being, and there are times when I absolutely, like, it's not like I don't want to help people, but I'm also not that person. Like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm like barely, I'm still a kid, and so like handling the weight of people's personal problems in their DMs is like, I don't know. I mean, I realize this is a strange thing to talk about, and maybe not the most relatable in the sense of being in an online space, but I'm sure if you've had this like a one-way relationship before where you kind of always act as someone's emotional sponge, and it's not two-way, then I guess it's comparable to something like that. But again, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is also because it's not just that like thing like, oh, look at all the problem I have, like too many people are talking to me. Like I recognize that it's like a privilege to have a community, but it's also really important to recognize what community is, right? Like, I cannot be your friend because, like, I mean, I got my own friends, right? And, like, you don't know me at all. And that's the other thing, is that you only know what I present. I could be literally the worst person in the entire world. I could kick dogs in my free time and then present this, like warm personality, I guess. Like, you don't know. And a lot of this, is coming out of things in the Smash community that I'm seeing. If you're keeping up with current events, I won't go into that too much, but a lot of it is there are people in the Smash community, pro players, the best in the world, that have done terrible, unforgivable things, federal crimes. I mean, like, maybe that's not even that's not the height of it. Like, have permanently left a scar on people's lives. And then you have diehard fans defending them because they're good at a video game and they can press buttons good. And I think it's so important to stress. And this is why I haven't put out videos, because I feel like I can't make a video saying, I'm gonna 1v2 to Diamond, and not talk about this. Because those people have invested time, emotion, and personality. Part of their identity is the fact that this content creator or this player is a good person, and like they stand with them and they're a fan, and like being a fan is all good, but when you start to idolize and that person's identity becomes a part of your own, that's when it becomes dangerous. Because when these people come out with proof and evidence and stories and victims coming out with stories about how they've permanently damaged their lives, and then you have diehard fans defending them, even though the fans don't know anything about them, that's terrifying. And it leads to a culture where people can get away with anything. And that's what happened, is because, because these players, these community members, were so esteemed. I don't know, this game has escaped my memory. I'm getting baited. I'm actually getting baited. I don't know what's going on. Because they are at the height of these communities and so well respected, they're able to get away with the worst of things for years and years and years. And I can't let that happen in this community, because again, I care so much about this community. And when I say I care about you, it's hard for me to say that it's not you specifically, because I don't know you specifically. But the thought of somebody being hurt in this community makes me very sad. And I can't let that happen. So, please don't idolize me. And I like, maybe this is like egotistical for me to say it, but I know that I also have a lot of viewers that are younger. And it's these kinds of relationships, again, where you think a content creator is your friend or you think you know them. It's not just exclusive to people that are younger. Like, our brains, again, were not developed to have these kinds of connections, to have these kinds of relationships. So, I can't blame anyone for having it, but this is why I'm acknowledging it, because again, like, if I do something really, 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 really unforgivably bad, and the person that I hurt comes out saying that I did this to them, what would break my heart, I mean even more than, like, knowing I hurt someone, is fans of mine in the comments attacking that other person for coming out with a story. That would be the worst. Because, again, like, these community leaders were able to get away with these things because they were so well respected in this community. They had all the power in this community, and then the people who had stories come out were petrified because what power do they have? They're coming out against, like, the best players in the world in a community where the most respected thing you can be is the best player in the world, and they, like, what are they gonna do? They get death threats for saying that they were, like, abused. So that's the type of thing that I can't let happen in the Brawlhalla community. I can't let this happen. And it will, if we stand idly by. It will, 100%. People will be able to get away with heinous things, and as time goes on, and they're able to get away with more and more, it'll escalate. And we already have a culture that's not, like, it's pretty young. A lot of the viewers watching, I mean, we say young impressionable, and that's not, like, what I'm trying to say, but it's like, a lot of people don't necessarily have an understanding. I don't know why I did that. I thought for some reason the spike ball would hit them. They don't necessarily have an understanding that, like, some things that they do can be harmful. So, like, we have transphobia, we have homophobia, a lot of it. We have a lot of casual racism, and those are the kinds of things, sexism, objectification of women, like, these are things in every gaming community, of course, but, like, we're very young, and so I think this is a good place where we can catch it and say, you know what, this is not the culture that I want to promote. And holding people accountable is a big thing. And recognizing that the people you watch, the people you may idolize, the players you may want to be like, you don't actually know them at all. And you can, I think, healthily say, like, I want to be like them as a player, but be like them as a person. Like, what if that person comes out and they are a horrible human being who has done unforgivable things, but this whole time you've locked your identity, or you've set in stone this idea that I want to be like them, and that, I think, is a big contributing factor to not believing victims or survivors when they come out with stories, and that is very important to do. So, yeah, hold people accountable. Don't idolize your content creators. Don't idolize your players. You can certainly look up to them. You can certainly have a healthy one-sided relationship with them, because that's what your relationship is with them. Unless, I mean, again, like, unless you know them personally. Like, if you are one of my personal friends, like that, what I was saying earlier doesn't apply to you. But, again, like, over the past year, I've answered thousands of DMs and had thousands of conversations that I just did because I thought I was being nice. But the more I think about it, I think I have contributed to this idea that I'm a friendly person in the community that you can just be friends with. And I want to be a friendly face, a positive force in the community, but I can't be that other thing. I can't be friends with everyone. So I hope that, and like, I have to recognize that my actions haven't shown that. Like, I haven't explicitly set boundaries, and people have crossed boundaries, but if I haven't explicitly set them, then that's also on me. So, like, those, like, thousands and thousands of conversations I've had, I was not necessarily comfortable in starting any of them and having any of them, but I continued them anyway, because I was even more uncomfortable telling people, no, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question for you, or I'm sorry, I can't be that friend for you. So that's a big thing, is, like, you can have a healthy one-sided parasocial relationship, but when it becomes more than that is when it can become destructive and can create, again, a culture where people that are good at one thing can get away with another thing, because it's presumed that if you're good at pressing buttons, you also have good morals, if that's the value system in the community. If you're good at editing together clips, then you have good morals, and you have good standing as a member of the community, when that could completely be untrue. So the idea is hold people accountable. Hold me accountable. I mean, like, Bo Burnham talks about this, and he is, in many ways, a big inspiration to me, and I guess this is, an example of what I'm talking about, where, like, I know Bo Burnham, like, is an entertainer, and I know that I will probably never meet him, and if I do meet him, that he won't know who I am, and that I actually don't know who he is as a person. I only know what he's presented. And social media, in a way, is, everyone presenting. So you don't actually know anyone based on social media, as much as it seems personal. Even your streamers. Like, streamers that are live hundreds of hours a month. Oh, I can't speak. Hundreds of hours every month. You would think, like, oh, I can see their personality then. Like, I know who they are as a person. You only know what they present. You only know what they present. You only know a fraction of who they are. So, yeah, hold people accountable. And Bo Burnham talks about this, where he's like, you know, I'm an entertainer. I'm just like any job. I'm just overpaid, you know? Like, the thing that entertainers, for some reason, seem to have is this fan base that accepts their failure, or accepts them if they do terrible things because of this, like, personal commitment or something like that. But he's like, if a car mechanic doesn't do his job, you don't stay with that car mechanic. So why is it if that, like, I put out a bad video, you still stick with me anyway? Or if I have a bad stream, or if I do a terrible thing, like, you still stick with me. If I do something terrible, or if I make a video that you don't like, you have no obligation to watch it. Because you have no obligation to me, and I have no obligation to you. I mean, like, it's not, like, my quote-unquote job, but in a sense, this is my job. Like, my job as a content creator is to create and to entertain. If I do something that sucks, you have no obligation to me to watch it. So, a lot of the time, I see people, like, apologize for missing a video, or apologize for missing a stream, and, like, I don't want to, like, I hope this doesn't sound, like, aggressive, like I'm ungrateful, because, like, very clearly I'm so fortunate to have the audience that I have, to even be in this position, but I think it's critically important for me to recognize the influence that I do have, because as much as I like to downplay myself and tell myself I don't deserve it, and that, like, nobody's actually watching, there are people watching, and there are people that take what I say and take meaning in what I say, and so I have to be really careful, and I have to acknowledge this. Like, I have to. If I didn't acknowledge this, I don't know how I could sleep at night, and I haven't really been able to, because this has been weighing on me, and I wasn't quite sure how to say it, so I'm just saying it now. And I'm actually recording this while I'm live streaming, because I guess I feel a little comfortable doing it there. But yeah, I guess that's the general gist of what I'm gonna say, is, like, again, like Bo Burnham was saying, like, if I do a bad job, like, kick me to the curb, you know? If I don't do my job, then you don't need to stick by me. And you don't need to apologize for missing my stream, because, or missing a video, because you don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. It's this really weird modern relationship that doesn't necessarily, like, parasocial is just, like, the term we have for it, but really, like, what is it? It's so weird. Again, our brains evolved for a universe, for a world, where you know everyone, and there's, like, sorry, there's someone in the background. Like, you know everyone, and now we have a world where you can know millions of people that you will never meet. And, like, we have to adjust to that. We have to recognize that. And it's important to also recognize our own shortcomings, like mine. I have not done a good job of establishing boundaries, of saying no, of not rewarding, it sounds like, I sound like Pavlov, like, not rewarding people for crossing those boundaries with me. Or, like, because I have been rewarding people for crossing boundaries with me. And if you've ever DM'd me, if you've ever sent a message, if you've ever opened up or been personal, like, I don't want you to feel bad for that. I really don't. And the reason why I'm making this into a video is because I think that is a lot easier to reach as many people as I can. And, like, going into why do I make videos, like, why do I make guides? Part of it is that people ask me those questions every day in DMs. And I can't respond to everyone that wonders them. But I can make a video and try and reach as many people as I can. So if you've ever sent me a message like that, if you've ever reached out in DMs, please don't feel bad. As much as it may sound like it, it's actually not about you. I guarantee it's not about you. It's about the future people who may have those kinds of problems and stuff like that. And I don't want to say that, like, never DM me, never talk to me. I won't respond. I don't know where the road end lies. I can't speak anymore, obviously, but this is just where I am right now. And again, I couldn't make a normal video without talking about this. So yeah, I hope it didn't come across as ungrateful, unappreciative. It's a recognition of where I am and what I should do with it, you know? Like, what should I do? Should I just pretend, like, because if I just pretend everyone's my friend, I'm gonna get way more support, you know? I'm gonna manipulate my audience, and I think a lot of people do that. Manipulate is like a bad word, because we think like, oh, manipulate's just bad, but it's not. Like, I think every content creator to some extent does this without realizing it. And you get so much more support if you tell every subscriber, thank you, I love you, because then they feel more attached to you. But I don't want to do that. And I hope that, also I don't want that to be an invitation to attack anyone who does do that, obviously. But yeah, anyway, those are just my thoughts. I'll see you in the next one.